Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
This is Ed Cohen in San Diego. It's October 29, year is 21. The year's flying by. Halloween is coming fast. So also is the end of daylight savings time. Like, boy, it's going to get dark early, but it'll get light early too. So our program today features Karena Bell, who's in South Carolina, and I'm here in San Diego, as I mentioned. So, this working from anywhere means you work everywhere. Earlier today, I worked in New York, and then I worked in Mexico City, and here I am in South Carolina. So this is cool. Welcome, Karena Bell.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask you to briefly, in your own words, take 30 seconds and describe who you are and what brings you to us today.
Okay, great. Yeah, I come to you today with over 25 years of corporate IT and finance in hiring experience and 4 years as a business owner and entrepreneur. And
cool. Perfect. Yeah, cool. All right. So let's talk about hiring. Everybody seems to quit these days or just get fed up and say, I'm done here. And they look for something else. What do you think's driving that? And it means there's a hiring brigade out there now. I mean, companies say, oh my God, I'm losing my talent. Yet they turn around and they say, wow, there's all this new talent I can hire. So what do you think about all that?
I am surprised, one, that it has gone on for as long as it has. I expected there to be peaks and valleys through the pandemic. I did not expect the length of how the talent shortage has stretched out. What I think is the cause of that is a lot of people through the pandemic realized that they were taking note in, this might not be what I want to do. There's other things I want to do, or I want to start my own business. Small businesses absolutely skyrocketed during the pandemic. People were starting side hustles. People were starting full-time businesses on their own. I think that time at home, where everyone had a lot of time to consider, what do I want to do next? Or maybe I want to do something else. And they had a lot of time and energy and resources to actually go pursue those. And that's one aspect of why a lot of people have gone back to work. I know when I talk to my colleagues, one of the common questions we say is, how are people paying their bills if they're not going back to work and they haven't started a business? That is very curious. And then on the flip side of that, there are people out there that are applying to everything. I ran into that yesterday myself, where somebody had set up an interview and he was so ill prepared. The interview lasted exactly 2.5 minutes. Didn't remember the position he applied for, had not researched the company. He had even shared with me, I just go on LinkedIn and I apply to everything. And you really need to have purpose in what it is that you're applying to. And so it was, I'm hearing that from colleagues as well, that there are people with a perception that, oh, it's a candidate's market. I can get a job anywhere. I can do anything, without really having that self-awareness of the value that they're bringing to the table and how they should professionally approach a potential job opportunity.
So when I think of running into a person like that, I see mental stress in spades. And
I definitely had an internal dialogue that I was not going to let out.
So I think that we're visualizing, we're seeing deterioration of mental health or reorientation, because people who are not prepared to have a scheduled meeting shouldn't have the meeting. They should just postpone it. And because they don't realize that, well, if they're not on camera, they're certainly being recorded. And, how can people not think that? So that means that they're not thinking clearly, and they're not prepared, number one. That's the biggest thing. So there's a joke cartoon that really wasn't a joke. I forget which publication I saw it in, but there was this manager, a guy who looks typical, like a middle management, been there 30 years type manager. And he says, exasperated, this is a cartoon, exasperated, I'm managing empty chairs. Where is everybody? So it's funny, isn't it? But it's true. So
It is.
how can you and I, who don't have that, how can we become more resilient as we look forward to the holiday season and 22, which is supposed to be a better year for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
How can we be more resilient?
First of all, I think we need to be self-aware. We need to be patient with ourselves. With the pandemic, I think one thing that it laid on everybody was frustration, stress, and impatience with ourselves and others. And you really have to have an attitude of optimism. No matter how bad things get, we're going to get to the other side of that, and there's going to be something we're going to gain from it. We may not know what it is. We don't know why we're here, but there's something on the other side of it that's going to make me better once I get there. The pandemic, or even everyday challenges, I look at as like when a boulder falls down. You're walking down a trail and a boulder falls. You can't move that boulder. You have options. You can go above it. You can go around it. And I think about challenges as water. Water always finds a way. So no matter what your challenges are, have an attitude of optimism. And if you're in a place where you're stuck, you're really stuck, and you feel like I can't get out, call on other people to help you. Collaborate. We do this in business every day. We collaborate for challenges. And being a resilient person, you also know when it's time to call for help. You don't let ego get in the way. You know that this challenge is too big for me to handle on my own. Ed, can you give me a hand? Can you help me with this? Can you give me some perspective, some idea? Let's attack it together.
Interesting, isn't it? Wow. Yeah. What do you see in your talking with business people? Is there a difference? Like I'm talking about it right now today. Is there a difference between how women women in business management positions, ownership, management, are they handling it different than the men you're talking with?
They are. And the reason they are, I think, is because women are just wired differently. Women have more of a nurturing and a compassion aspect to things, even in the business world. I think they are and they aren't. There's two sides to that coin. And the reason I say that is because women are nurturers by nature. And with the pandemic, I saw and I read that women were taking on so much more than they typically did before the pandemic. There are, I believe, I haven't checked the numbers lately, but the last time I checked, there's still over 1 million women that left the workforce when the pandemic started that have not returned. That alone is a significant impact in our workforce and the talent that isn't coming back to the marketplace. But women also, the difference I've noticed between men and women is women will reach out to other women freely and talk about things. And men will hang out with other men and do other things, but they may not necessarily talk about their stress, but they find that relaxation and that relief in just the company of other men. Whereas women like to talk things out and get the expression out and the emotion out, whatever they're feeling.
So, because they've done it, I think women have done that since they were teenagers.
We're trained to associate in packs and herds.
And it becomes like human rather than an embarrassing potential, which some guys would certainly think about, of saving face or not appearing weak or confused. Whereas in most women conversation, I don't know, I'm not eavesdropping on anything, but I would think that just talking about human things, and so there's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's just what is, and this is what I'm dealing with. And other women, either they listen or they give advice and then move on to something else, right?
Yeah, and see, to me, the strongest leaders that I've been around and that I aspire to are those that are confident enough to say that I don't have all the answers, but the decisions are my responsibility. So if I don't have confidence in the answer that I've developed, I need to pull in other experts, people smarter than me, to develop that solution to that challenge, and give credit where credit is due. If you can put your ego in your back pocket, and and go back to the role that I have in this company is to advocate for what is best for the company, and that's everyone's role, no matter what your title is. Your role is to do everything in your power in the best interest of that company. And if we can just keep our egos in check and go, you know what, I don't have the answer, but I'm responsible for it. Let me go talk to my SMEs and find those experts that I need. And collectively, we can do really cool things individually, but we can do incredible things collectively. And I think a strong leader will not just recognize that, they'll project that. And that creates resilience, I believe. Because leaders are always looked to from the people that they're surrounded with, and they will by default help the people around them to become more resilient as well, based on their actions and their words and how they are handling the stress and handling the unplanned challenges that drop in front of them.
So the women who've dropped out of the workforce, so general, of course, but they went, if they were married and had a family, they went into that situation that had its own culture and its own ways of doing things developed over time. And it usually resulted around 5, 6 o'clock, 4, 5, 6 o'clock afternoon, getting ready for dinner, cleaning up, doing this, doing that, and then dinner, and then evening, and then TV or conversation or music or whatever, and then bed, and then next day departure, da 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 da. All of that changed. Never mind the fight, if you will, for bandwidth, or if there's not more than one laptop in the house, and the kid's got to do some schooling. And, I've got my responsibility, she or he has theirs, and then other things. And so what a mess. It's no wonder women have dropped out, even though there's a financial need. Nobody knew whether that is going to continue because of the pandemic and so many businesses being impacted negatively quickly.
And I think part of that might have been where in women majority, I don't want to just say, I don't want to exclude men, because there are men that stayed home with children as well. But as we all know, a majority of that were women. And I think what happened is that so much was piled on that they came to the conclusion, they said, I can't do it all. And a lot of times people would say, you know what, I can't do it all. I don't want to do it
Well,
all.
I'm needed here.
I'm needed here. They reassess what's really important in life. There's a lot of things we can do without if I don't go back to work and all I have to do is focus on the family and the home. If a two-income family went down to one income, and families were making those sacrifices because a lot of women, they just could not do everything for whatever the circumstances were. And I think that's a lot to do with it, is that women just reached their threshold and they said, enough. And, whether it was frustration with work or priority with family, I think that was a lot of it, is that women everywhere, I think, just felt like they were getting piled on. When things were stressful before the pandemic, it reached a breaking point when the pandemic hit, because prior to the pandemic, there was such a demand for people having the ability to work remote. And then when the pandemic hit, I even read articles where they said, what happened to the demand for working remote? Well, simple. When the request was out there before the pandemic, the variables of the husband being home and all three or four children being home were not part of the equation. They envisioned they would be working home alone, and the kids would come home at 3:30. The husband would come home at 5 or 6. And you'd have that secluded, focused time for work. That wasn't the case. Where now you're working from home and you're working literally in a tornado of chaos, day in, day out, and you're still expected to fulfill a full-time job, corral the kids, and hope that your husband's conference calls aren't coming into your conference calls on your Zoom meeting, buying 5 laptops, expanding the bandwidth, having a T1 server installed in your house, all those challenges. Mom was a majority of the ringleader that had to manage that and is still managing that in a lot of circumstances. This is a long time to be in that kind of a chaotic environment.
Hi, this is Ed, and I thank you for tuning in to Global TV Talk Show, a unit on globalbusinessnews.net. We broadcast to the world, as you know by now. So I wanted to make sure that you understand that our programs are advertising supported. We're grateful for co-sponsors, advertisers. They have a marketing budget coupled with a strong desire to be associated with our top quality program. And of course, I'm grateful. Thank you. So for the next few minutes, you're going to see some commercials. It's mostly very low key, and our prices are very, very reasonable. Our exposure for the advertisers go 12 months and beyond. Some of our advertisers have been with us since March, April of 2020. And Google Analytics has tracked over 125,000 what they call audience page views, which means you looking at this page, that's a page view. Now, if you happen to go to one of our other shows or to our radio broadcasts or to our newspaper or magazine, those become additional page views as measured by Google Analytics. And so when they say 125,000 since spring of 2020 up through Labor Day, a month ago, that's pretty good numbers. And the past 30 days, Google Analytics has measured just under 6,000 audience page views. And that, according to them, is a 42% increase in audience participation over the month of August. So thank you very much. Well, here's our advertisers, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes or so, and we'll proceed with this interesting conversation. Thank you.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Hi, I'm Sergey Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we're researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what will happen to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on Ed's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
So telehealth, one of our advertisers in the past and still continuing, is a telemedicine pioneer called betterhelp.com, which is a phone-in therapy session. All right, that's totally confidential and really successful in what they're doing. And now there's many, many like that. And because people are taking advantage of that, just somebody to yell at, I guess, or get somebody to tell them what to do, you know. So it's really interesting. So let's talk about resilience, and let's talk about business managers who are working still. Because whatever we're talking about business, that can be applied to personal. We just have to find the link. So to be more resilient, you need to do what women have done, and that is to nurture and take care of many people's needs, not just your own, simultaneously, right? So
another aspect
yes, please.
of being resilient is being kind to yourself. You
mean don't beat yourself up?
Don't beat yourself up. We all have days where we're 100%. We all have days where we're not. And in the business world, everyone is expected to be 100% every single day, and that's just not feasible. It's not realistic. No matter how optimistic you are, and acknowledge it when you're not having 100% day. Go, and I do this to myself. I'll go. You know what? Today is an 80% day. I know I'm not going to get 100% out, and I'm okay with it. I acknowledge it. I accept it, because I know tomorrow I'm probably going to be back to 100%. I don't beat myself up for those days that I'm not 100%, because no one can be 100%. If they tell you they are, they're lying.
Yeah, okay.
But we're human, and that's part of being resilient, is understanding that everything that we're going through, whatever it is, good, bad, or indifferent, it's natural. If you're feeling an especially strong emotion one day, whether it's happy or sad, it's a natural human emotion, and acknowledge that and accept it and go, you know what, today I'm really sad. That's okay. But tomorrow I'm not going to be sad. I'm going to be happy tomorrow. And I think a lot of times as individuals, men and women alike, we beat ourselves up for how we feel when society or media dictates, no, really, this is how you should really be feeling. Instead of acknowledging the truth and the authenticity of who you are and what you're feeling in that moment, is acknowledge it and appreciate it, and move past it.
This is very helpful. We have about 5 minutes remaining. And so this is really good. And I invite you to come back on another occasion, perhaps in 3 or 4 weeks from now, and let's have a checkup.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
And see how we're doing. Maybe we'll get Ali to join us again. But let's just sum up, if you will, about how business people, step 1, step 2, step 3, how do you achieve more strength, internal strength, resilience, fancy word for get away from me, bang, bang, fight off the devil, How do you do that? But without yelling and screaming.
Sure. I think the key is remain calm.
How?
No matter, and as simple as that sounds, that's something that you need to train your mind and your emotions to do. It's something I've taken a lifetime to develop. When I'm in a hot situation, the bottom has fallen out, I'm calm. The hotter it gets, the calmer I get, because as soon as, and I've been able to develop that, because when the bottom falls out, emotion goes to the back of my mind. If it's a crisis situation, I need logic at the forefront of my mind. I can't get emotional about anything. The very
So,
first thing
so does that mean automatically there's a checklist? Step 1, step 2, step 3,
Mhm.
step 4,
Mhm.
and if you, meanwhile there's somebody melting down right next to you, but you go through that motion, and that's the guaranteed clash between those two people. But you remain stoic to achieve something to get to the other side of this crisis. Is that right?
Right. Not completely unemotional, but supportive of those around you. But you are in control of the situation, and you're in control of what needs to happen next. You have that checklist in your mind. You already know. There's a difference between reacting and responding. And reactions are anchored in emotion. Responses are anchored in logic. And you want to be prepared to respond to emergency situations with a logical approach. Emotion will get you in trouble. Emotion will alienate those around you when those are the people that you need to pull close to you in those times of challenge. And as a resilient leader, you need to be able to identify the personalities. And when somebody right next to you is melting down, you have to multitask, where you might have to deploy something or someone, but then also talk to them in a manner that they can hear you because they're melting down. But your job is to get their mind right, calm them down, get them back to a place where they can think logically. And then, if they're key to that challenge, it's your responsibility to understand that person. And this is where EQ really comes into play. Emotional,
EQ.
Emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
where to be emotionally intelligent, you have to have control of your own emotions, and also be able to identify other people's emotions and how you can diffuse situations and help them calm themselves back down. Some people thrive in a world of chaos. Uh, and and again, if you're
Yeah.
at work, you need them to be productive. So as a leader, you need to be able to identify how to diffuse people that are programmed that way. And that's just how they're cut. They're cut from that cloth. That's okay. Acknowledge it, but also learn. That's your challenge as a leader, is to learn those different personalities and those challenges. I actually sought out very difficult people in my career to better understand how they were motivated, how they work, and be able to become someone that they can work with, they can communicate, and they can rely on. And that was a skill set that I've carried with me throughout my career, and how to handle people that may be labeled difficult. Is a matter of understanding where they're coming from and how they're motivated.
This has really been an interesting show for me. Thank you, Karena. How can people reach you? What's the best way?
The best way to reach me is on LinkedIn, Karena M. Bell on LinkedIn, or you can reach me directly on my email, Karena, Karena, at Turtle Bay, P as in Paul, S as in Sam.com.
So Turtle Bay, is that in Hawaii?
It is not. It's actually based on the East Coast, but my partner is actually from Hawaii, and I love turtles, and I'm a scuba diver, so that's where the name came from. But we do have turtles. We do have a lot of turtles off the South Carolina coast.
That's interesting. Thanks for being on Global TV Talk Show.
Thank you, Ed. My
And
pleasure.
please come back. Thank you.
I will anytime, Ed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is Ed in San Diego, and that's Karena in Charleston, South Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.